morning. This is a garden update for anyone who cares. Cabbages are starting to get kind of sizable. It's hard for me to see my screen with the sun, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Okay, you see that? That's the cabbages. This is what I'm excited about. Check this out. I'm in Fort Myers, Florida, down south, and I discovered sometime around late October, early December, something like that, I went and hit a dumpster, and I got me a little pie pumpkin. You see that fruit right there? That's my pumpkin baby. These are her flowers. This is just one of the plants. This isn't even the first plant that started flowering. This is just the first plant. I was sitting here in the garden eating papaya and nibbling on some Okinawan spinach, which is doing really well. Like, this spinach is small still, but it's actually starting to produce. Like, every day I'm getting a good fistful off of these plants, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, in my opinion, we eat too much anyway. Your stomach is approximately the size of your two fists put together, and half of it is already filled with fluid. Think about that when you think about terms of serving size. And what your body actually needs in order to have food mass as compared to nutrients density. So here's some. This is also, like, seriously, I thought the amaranth wasn't even germinating, and then all of a sudden, this is why I love amaranth. Like, seriously, one moment I thought these seeds aren't germinating, they're not going to do nothing, and then boom. Just like, look at that. Growing in sand. You know, no real soil aside from a little bit of compost that's in the middle of these eye pits. Like what, the maiki? This is South Asian mustard green maiki. Freaking beautiful, very spicy. It's almost like if you've eaten like traditional style mustard greens, think of like a more creamy texture. I don't know. The maiki is really smooth compared to what I've experienced with a lot of mustards, and I have several patches of these. This is now my mind just blanked. Purslane, which I transplanted from South Carolina. This actually lived on my bicycle, on my pack, and I just kept it moist and gave it sunlight, protected it from damage, and it actually grew. Some of it I gave to my grandpa up in Tampa. He's got it in his garden now, and this is what I brought here to be with me for my food needs. Super good stuff. This here is I don't remember what kind of pepper this is. I believe it's one of the cayennes that came from the food bank. And there again, like, this is planted at the same time, you know, and literally just 2 feet, 1 or 2 feet away from one another, and just massive difference there. And that could be phenotype, you know, because they're basically in the same conditions, being with the same care. So it could have been the phenotype of that specific seed and why that one is not growing very rapidly while this other one is. Which, honestly, this one here, I'm kind of scattered today. I've been working on grounding. This one was the size of that little teeny one over there like a few days ago, and then it just decided to go pop up, you know, and it's in here competing. This is I've showed you this a few times in videos, but I'm just going to keep putting this out there. This is a little baby from the Caesar weed, which is an invasive plant that was brought here as a fiber crop. The leaves are actually edible as a famine food. They're not terribly pleasant to eat because of the fuzziness, but if you cook them right, they're not bad. And the water off of them from being cooked, as well as the tea from the root, can be medicinal and used in much of the same way as marshmallow. And here we still have our peanut butter tree growing. And this tomato is finally starting to produce flowers. I don't even know where this tomato came from. You know? No clue. I didn't plant it. So I'm hoping that this is loofah gourd and not pumpkin. And if this is planned out right, then as the loofah gourd blooms, I'll actually be taking the pumpkin out of bloom. My intention with the pumpkin was to grow it because that's all I really had at the time, was like a bunch of these, all of these scallion, spring onion types of onions, and the yellow onions over there, the white onion that I have, there's a red onion right behind me. These all came out of the dumpster, and I planted them primarily for seed and to eat their tops. A lot of people I know are concerned about the quality of seed from grocery store plants. I've been growing dumpster gardens for years, and yeah, some of them have a hard time propagating, but I personally believe that we can actually rebreed plants to be hardy again and to not be so reliant on industrial farming methods to grow. That's one reason why I plant so close together, so that creates a tight canopy and a lot of competition. What I'm showing you right now is my newer beds. This is my rice bed over here, and this is rice. This is Carolina golden rice. This is an heirloom seed donated by Baker's Creek. Thank you so much to Baker Creek. And these are the younger ones. This is the older one. They're freaking gorgeous. Look at this. I mean, that's beautiful, right? I could grow this as a decorative plant. These are cowpeas, also known as sea peas, and traditionally they were grown along the southeastern coast of the United States, from North Carolina to northern Florida, around Jacksonville, but were very popular as a cash crop and a food crop amongst the plantations and the slaves in South Carolina, and what would eventually become the Guerilla Islands and the Geechee people, who, from what I understand reading about both of these plants, the Carolina rice and the cowpeas, still utilize these plants a lot in their diet. And it's one of the reasons why I selected these two varieties, is because, one, to honor the people, and because I believe that food is very much our connection to our culture and how we relate to the soil and to the earth. And right now I'm just in a mode of going back to revisiting people who have experienced oppression and growing their foods, because it brings me into their culture and into their mindset and helps me to understand what that might have been like to some degree. Of course, I don't know what the hardship is really like, but it does help in terms of research and an understanding of their culture and where these people come from and why they are the way they are. The Gullah Geechee people are amazing, and their culture is actually under threat right now due to development and environmental change. Over here, where's my okra? There's my okra. This is okra. This is a specific variety of okra. I'm not even this leaf doesn't even look like okra to me. But this is coffee okra. It was developed, I believe, in the South Pacific by an individual that Baker's Creek picked up their seeds and started providing them. More cowpeas. This is Casa Banana, which is a tropical melon from South America. I'm not sure on its complete lineage, but it's popular in places like Brazil and the Caribbean. This is Job's Tears, also known as, and the first name that I ever knew this plant as was Cherokee Tears. The story goes is that the Cherokee people were growing this along with their traditional corn crops as a grain. It produces a blue seed, which Oh, that's cool. Here's one that didn't get completely buried, and you can kind of see, if you can see, beyond the shadows and things. That's rooted in the ground, so I'm not going to pull it up. But it actually produces a blue seed. Sometimes white, sometimes darker, towards like almost a black or grayish blue. And they're called Cherokee tears because the story of this plant is that when the Cherokee and various other nations along the eastern seaboard were forced into the removal of the native people here, they took the seed with them as a food crop and planted it all along the trail, hoping that they would have food. And I speculate that because they weren't necessarily allowed to cultivate while they were going, I speculate that because they were captives, they probably smuggled a lot of seeds and planted them along the way in hopes that as people were escaping, they could come back and be able to find an existing food source so that they could get back home and not starve to death, which happened. The story of my own family line, I've been told, is that a Cherokee man married a Scott-Irish woman. She was adopted into the nation, and they all went with their three sons on the Trail of Tears. And one of their sons is in my great grandfather, or somewhere in my paternal line. So I grow the Cherokee tears in honor of them. So I've also got some basil here. And what else that's really going good right now that I just want to show off? Because, like, seriously. Oh, this here is my mix. This is like bananas and finished cow manure. I say finished in that it's like, it's not fully compost, but it's not poop either. It's like somewhere in between. And the way that I applied this is that it should rain and begin to dissolve this and let it cycle down into the soil in a slow release sort of method. But this is I made with I also added coconut milk and actual coconut to the whole mix, and let it ferment and get good and nasty. Back over here, got some, these are Mexican sunflowers. The leaves produce a lot of potassium. They're not edible for humans as far as I know, and but they make great fodder for the garden. This is actually an oak tree right here, native oak, that I'm allowing to grow. Its root system covers this entire area. I've been finding its root system in the little pop-ups every time that I dig another zy pit, which is really cool when considering. Oh, here's another one. Considering that it was chopped down or fell down, and that oak tree has been competing against this Brazilian pepper tree and the grapevine that's been taking over, that I've been removing out of here. That's like seriously been choking everything out. Real quick, this is now my mind's blanking. Tomatillo, another dumpster dive score, and it's like, seriously, this is all tomatillo. All I did was like slice it up and throw it in the dirt. It's not growing in much of nothing. Really impressive stuff. And that is, for now, the garden tour. It's a really nice maiki to give you a better example of what the leaves look like. Freaking beautiful. I mean, that's like velvety soft, but it's not fuzzy, but it's like really soft, you know. But anyway, that's about it, I guess. Have a good one.